On Thursday the 1st of October early this year, one of my old friends and university lecturers at Newman University in Birmingham, Dr Chris Upton, sadly passed away due to complications with cancer. Now, I will preface this video by saying this is by far the hardest video I've ever had to make, period. Not in terms of trying to write a decent script and making sure everything works okay and it makes sense, or trying to edit a video so it looks nice and flashy and looks really good on the internet. Nothing to do with that. Talking about someone you admired immensely and deeply respected to a huge extent is profoundly difficult for me, because there's so many things that can go wrong when doing tributes like this. You can come across as too mawkish, or too over the top, or too awkward, all sorts of range of things that can go wrong. But I decided to make an exception in his case because of the everlasting influence he had on me and several hundreds and hundreds, perhaps thousands of students he came to teach over the last 20 plus years while he was at Newman University. For those who don't know, between 2009 and 2012 I took a history degree at that university, and I managed to get a 2-2 grade at the end of it. And Chris Upton, Dr Chris Upton, was one of my lecturers I came into contact with regularly on the various modules. He wasn't the only lecturer, but he was one of the main ones. And his speciality was the local history in regards to Birmingham, Dudley, Stourbridge, the local area. That was his speciality. He's wrote several books and articles on the subject, one of which I own right here, a signed copy. I'll talk about that in a moment. He's done so much in that field of history, it boggles the mind. And he was one of my lecturers on the very specific subject of local history, and also, I believe, if I remember this correctly, he was also one of my lecturers on the I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was basically the module where we learnt what it meant to be an historian. What is the purpose of history? What are the techniques you can take out of history, and why is it important? And I bring that particular module up because I haven't said any of this stuff before to anyone, not face to face or via text message or anything. Half of this stuff I've never said before. I'll bring that module up because for the longest time I genuinely thought that none of my writing was worth a damn. I thought that half of my writing was derivative. I found like half of my writing just didn't make sense reading it back, or like, why would anyone care what the hell I have to think about anything really? So while I'm making YouTube videos before I went to university, when I started script writing, I hated pretty much every script I wrote. Well, some of them did turn into videos. I still didn't like them. I thought they were just terrible, and I found writing very difficult. I still do. But up until when I went to Newman University, I really enjoyed history. That's why I went there, and I had come to the great pleasure of coming into contact with Chris Upton, who was one of my main lecturers, along with Ian Kaywood and a bunch of others, sadly whose names I can't think right off the top of my head. Chris Upton in particular, he's one of the lecturers that really stands out, not just at Newman, but across the board of all the teachers I can think of that I've come across over my last 24 years while I've been alive. He stands out because of the dedication he had to his students, the dedication to the people he come into contact with, especially his students. Everybody who approached him found him to be a genuinely charming man. He was funny, he was charming, I've said that twice, he was self-deprecating, and crucially he was approachable. He had time for everybody, and so even if you were to come up to him with like something incredibly trivial, he will indulge in your conversation and converse with you back and always be friendly to you. He had time for everybody, even if you felt that you felt like he was wasting his time. He never came across that way. He always gave every bit of knowledge he had, he gave to you, and he treated you with respect, and I incredibly admire that. And the module I was trying to talk about before, that specific module where I was talking about learning what it means to be a historian. Basically, we one of the assignments we had to do for that particular module, we had to write what it means to be a historian, and like write why it's important, why history is important, and the techniques you can learn and stuff like that. I thought it was to my mind, I was still in that mindset. My mind, this is just a standard paper, you know. I don't think it's not going to rate very highly, going to be highly regarded or anything. So I did my best as I could, typed it out. I think it must have been like 4 or 5 pages long, something like that, and handed it in with the green sheet. We had to sign off to say that I wrote this, and hand it in, and there you go. I didn't think anything of it until he personally got back to me like it was just a regular day. I think I was in the canteen, just in the queue, tried to order something, and he came back to me with the sheet with the thing I'd written, and I was taken back what he said to me. Like he said he really enjoyed reading this essay that I'd written for that module. He really enjoyed it, and lo and behold, I got a first on it, which is, for people who don't know, that is the highest grade you can get in any module. You got first, then a 2-1, then a 2-2, then a third, and then I think it's a fail after that. I got a first on that particular paper. I got 70%, which is, I think, one of the highest in that group, which I found to be insane. And I was taken back to what he said. He found it to be very enjoyable to read, and like he felt the need to tell that to me directly, instead of like telling and giving all the, you know, like just generally like giving all the papers back to people. He took the time out to find me, to tell me how he felt about what I'd written, and he said, look, I was a really good writer, and I was gobsmacked at that. I still am. It was like the way he said it. Like he said I had a really charming and warming writing style, which he appreciated, and at the time I was shocked, and how he took the time out to come to me and tell me that, and like that was a really good essay. I really enjoyed reading that, and like, you were a really good writer, you would do well, and I was taken aback by that. Those words stuck with me to this very day, and ever since his passing, I learnt of his passing about a week ago. I was just idly on the internet, on YouTube and Facebook, and I saw it on Facebook, and the picture came up, and like, I was heartbroken. I'm still heartbroken, because it couldn't have happened to a much more charming man. And a lot of people, the Facebook page is flooded with tributes of all sorts of different kinds, like loads of different people he came across, family members and loads of students, and found him to be a really charming man and everything. I'm devastated, because I didn't even know he was ill. I really didn't know. According to something I've read, I believe early in January this year he had to step down because the illness was getting too severe. He had to step down as lecturer early this year in January, and before he left, he was given the award by students, that the Lecturer of the Year award. I totally agree with that. He was such a fantastic human being, and I'm devastated that he's no longer with us. And we've not just lost a fantastic lecturer, a human being. The world is definitely darker without him now. And I really feel sorry for new students just starting just started last month, just going into history. Like, Chris is no longer around to like give new students will not be able to experience the charms that he had, the warm lectures that he gave to his students. It was a pleasure just to drive there, spend the 40 minutes in traffic just to listen to what he had to say, and converse with him and things like that. It's devastating, and it's profoundly upsetting. It's just, I'm heartbroken about it. Going back to that little essay, it's just like, when I got that back, I was still making videos at the time, but when I got that sheet, with that green sheet, I've still got it somewhere. I couldn't find it. It's somewhere in my paperwork. I've still got it somewhere. where he what he wrote about it and like why he enjoyed it and all of that. But because he took the time out to tell me and everything in face to face, but he also written it down on the you know, like when you get feedback from your teachers and lecturers, he wrote it all down, but he also told it to me like what he thought about it in general. And when I got that feedback from him, I felt like from that point onwards, maybe my writing isn't so bad. Like if a guy of this stature was such a claim in the realm of teaching history, not just teaching history, but he's done so much stuff. He's done so many things in television. He's done so much radio work. He's done lots of teaching. He's everything you can do in the realm of local history and history in general. He's done loads of academic work. He's done a lot of research. He's done a lot of taught thousands of students. He's done loads of radio. It's insane. And people who don't know, for people who are fans of the Peaky Blinders series, the drama series on BBC One, I believe, he was the consultant historian on the first series of that, which I found to be amazing. Like the BBC found him to be so knowledgeable to approach him to be, okay, we need help with this series we're going to do called Peaky Blinders. We know you know a lot about it. We need your help. Perhaps with I believe he did all sorts of stuff. Like he helped with like the writing and like the costumes, the set design and stuff like that. He helped with all that, like to make it sure it's accurate and stuff. He was the consultant on that, and that's just amazing. And reading all the obituaries that have came out, he was also a columnist for the Birmingham Post as well. It boggles the mind at how much he did. I only knew him for that brief period as a lecturer. I didn't know he did all that until very recently, reading the obituaries, like all the stuff that he did. I know he's written books and stuff, but I didn't know to the extent of what stuff he did. It's insane, and it just reinforces the devastation that I felt when I learnt the news that like he passed away due to cancer. And I didn't even know he was ill, and I'm not entirely sure what type of cancer it was, but that's not the point. Newman University and Birmingham in particular has lost one of its greats. It's lost a profoundly skilled teacher, a profoundly genuine human being that you always wanted to be with, you wanted to converse with. He was friendly, charming, approachable, and yeah. When he gave me that feedback back on that little essay, I felt maybe my writing was worth something, and I for a while, like when I had the longest time, I thought like maybe after university I'll jack in this YouTube thing, because like I hate everything I write. Nothing seems to be working, but because of that, to learn like. To write something that like such an acclaimed historian admired and enjoyed, I felt like I was over the moon at that. I felt like it's just all in my head. Maybe if I can write something that he enjoyed to read, just an essay. It wasn't like anything special, I thought, in my eyes, but because he felt it to be such a genuinely good read, and his words were, I was bowled over by what you've written in that. I was over the moon over that, and it inspired me to keep going with it. Maybe keep at it, keep writing stuff, keep making videos, and for the few people that still enjoy them, thank you guys. I decided I still write stuff all the time, and from what I learnt in those lectures, like. I've learnt so much that I like surprisingly was able to transfer so well into making videos, like especially in the script writing, like going through research your sources, make sure all your sources are credible, try to make your writing charming, try to be as interesting as you possibly can without being over the top, without being overzealous, without being coming across as arrogant as some people choose to be on the internet, as It's kind of like a Wild West sort of thing. But going through Newman and under the coming to contact with Chris Upton and Ian Kaywood and a whole bunch of other lecturers I've come across. He in particular, his influence stood out to me and stuck with me. And I was like, he was such an approachable guy. And I do own his particular history on Birmingham, and I bought it off Amazon. I think unfortunately I wasn't able to source a new copy, but I got a really good second-hand copy. But I'm glad I did, because as one of a friend on Facebook will attest, she was there at the time. I think she was there before me. She was asking him about, I think it was about the final dissertation that we had to do at the end of the year, 2012. And she was asking for advice, like, what do you think of this? Like, shall I write it like this, or what things shall I include and things? And once we were both in his office at the time, and she was getting advice. And once Chris had spent like 20 odd minutes talking to her, I was there at the same time, listening to what he had to say, because I wasn't rushing. I was happy just to listen to what he was at. Maybe I can get some advice as well. And then once I wanted to get advice on my dissertation, I talked to him for a bit and conversed, like maybe I should change a few things and things. I took out this very book out of my bag with the intention, could you sign it? And because it's a second-hand copy, it was already signed beforehand. I'm just trying to find the page here. I don't know who exactly owned it before me, but someone called Harry. It must have been. I believe it was gifted to someone called Harry. According to this, it was signed. It was originally given as a gift. I don't know if you can see that. It was given as a gift to a person called Harry. And when I came into ownership of it, it was already signed, and he of course noticed that. And he took mock outrage. I knew he appreciated it. He took mock outrage that I didn't get a new copy, and he still signed it. And he wrote, "Ignore this." You can see that there. Please ignore this. To James, best wishes, Chris Upton. And this book is a very unique specimen because of that, and that stood out for me. That's like a book I will forever treasure. That. I felt like I know, like most people wouldn't even attempt to take an already signed book. Can you sign it? I know it's been signed already, but because I knew how much of a charming guy he was and understands people, I was willing to, like, okay, maybe you'd find this a nice little joke, perhaps. Like, can you sign this, please? That'd be awesome. I know it's already signed. Could you do that for me? And he did, and he took mock outrage to it, and like he was just delightful to work with, to talk to, and stuff like that. And he I don't know. It's such a tragedy to see him go. Not just for so many hundreds of people have had the pleasure to converse with him, family members as well, and I feel devastated especially for those in his family. Like, Newman University has lost one of its greats. Birmingham has lost one of its greats. The amount of work he did as a historian, the philanthropy work he's done overall, the amount of radio work he's done, television work he's done, the amount of contributions to humanity, I could say. He will be sorely missed. I'm devastated. Going back to the influence he had on me, whilst still, I've wrote several scripts since leaving university, and from all the stuff I've learnt from Chris and all the other university lecturers, I was able to take the skills I've learnt in those lectures and put them into one of my in my opinion, most of my videos I don't like watching back, but the one in particular video I made, I had to script for. I wrote by myself, scripting, researching everything, and trying to make it as interesting as possibly can. It was a video where I was talking about an old video game called Star Fox Adventures. It was called. I was talking about the history behind it and how it dramatically changed from what it was going to be like. I did a video about it. It was called Video Game Histories. And that particular episode was talking about that particular video game and how it was altered and stuff over time and stuff like that. And I wrote a script about it. It was about 3 or 4 pages long, I think it was. And I spent several hours trying to get rendering the video and try and make it as interesting as possibly can. I spent quite a long time on it, and it was like a standard video. I just uploaded it and then with the intention to move on to something else, as I usually do. But for whatever reason, a lot of people really enjoyed it. It got quite a lot of views on it. For the most views I've ever got on any video. Well over 20, I think it's about 30,000 combined over the different sites I've uploaded it to. But in particular, popular video game sites at the time, Game Trailers, featured it on their website, on the main page, on the home page. So the first thing you saw when you clicked on Game Trailers, it was there. A picture like with the user video of the week. My video was there. With all to see. I took a screenshot of it just to prove it. I was amazed that people really enjoyed it. And people wanted to see more from me, and people were trying to subscribe to me and get in contact with me. And ever since then, I've met loads and loads of people on the internet, like willing to do collaborations with me and across all sorts of different video projects and things. And it's just like ever since then. Ever since that day where I got the feedback, everything went up from there. I think I felt more positive about making videos, and like keep on trying, keep scripting things, keep like citing sources and things like that, and try and be as best as you possibly can in the darkness that is the internet. If you've spent any amount of time on the internet, you'll know what I mean. Making videos and things, you'll know what I mean. But it's just. I really appreciated everything that he did for me and everybody else that came to contact with him. I am devastated he is no longer with us. It's heartbreaking for everybody, for his colleagues, for his family members, for all the students we were so lucky to have him as a lecturer throughout. I was so lucky to have him as a lecturer while I was there, and I'm glad I got to converse with him and speak to him and learn a little bit, just catch a little glimpse of what he was all about as a historian, as a person, while I was there. And I'm devastated that new students going there won't get that opportunity, won't get that luxury, the usual special relish if you are doing local history while there. There's still great lecturers there, don't get me wrong, but with him gone, that course will never be the same again. Which is a terrible shame. But as I say, I've kept you long enough, I think. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you, Chris Upton, wherever you may be, for influencing me and influencing so many countless others who wish to make their own tributes in their own way. Hopefully this tribute wasn't too rambly. Hopefully it's a decent tribute. Yeah. Thank you for everything, and take care.